The prison warden casually tossed a book across the cell, but instead of hitting the wall, the book smashed straight through it. The impact instantly told him something was terribly wrong. He rushed over to investigate. To his surprise, what looked like a solid concrete wall was actually covered by nothing more than a sheet of newspaper. Behind it was a dark tunnel that seemed to stretch endlessly into the mountain. The warden immediately assumed the inmate had escaped through it. He ordered the prison's lead investigator to crawl inside and find out where it led. The detective crawled through the narrow tunnel for what felt like forever, but after a long search, he realized the passage didn't lead anywhere. It was a dead end. He quickly tugged on the safety rope, signaling the guards to pull him back out. By the time he returned to the cell, he was exhausted. Now they knew the prisoner hadn't escaped through the tunnel. But that raised an even bigger question. Why spend years digging a tunnel that went nowhere? And where did the inmate get the tools to do it? As the detective searched the cell, he noticed an ordinary metal spoon. Curious, he scraped it against the wall. To his surprise, chunks of the wall came off with almost no effort. That's when everything started to make sense. The detective realized the prisoner had been weakening the wall with salt. Over time, the salt slowly ate away at the surface, making it soft enough to scrape apart with nothing more than a spoon. But where did all that salt come from? The answer was surprisingly simple. The inmate had been saving it from every single meal, day after day. Instead of eating all of the food, she spread part of it across the wall. The salt gradually weakened the concrete, allowing her to dig faster and faster. To hide her work, she requested dozens of books from the prison library. The guards assumed she had become interested in reading. In reality, she tore the pages out, covered them with dirt, and used them to disguise the opening of the tunnel. Whenever guards inspected her cell, the fake wall looked completely normal. Since the prison sat on top of a windy mountain, disposing of the dirt was easy. She simply tossed the loose soil out the window. The powerful winds scattered it before anyone noticed. She spent nearly all of her time alone inside her cell, constantly digging. Eventually, the other inmates barely even noticed she existed. 2 years later, her plan was finally ready. She calmly walked out of her cell, just as she expected. The other prisoners paid no attention to her. Earlier, she had learned that a group of government officials would be visiting the prison that day. While everyone else was distracted by the welcoming ceremony, she quietly slipped underneath one of the officials' vehicles and held on. By the time the guards performed the next head count, she was gone. When the warden rushed into her cell, all he found was the mysterious tunnel. But then he realized the shocking truth. The tunnel had never been an escape route. It was nothing more than a decoy. By the time the detective crawled in, searched it, and climbed back out, 35 minutes had passed. That was all the time she needed. By then, she had already climbed out from beneath the vehicle, disappeared without a trace, and finally stepped into the freedom she had spent 2 years earning.